The war came so suddenly that you couldn't think of leaving.
On the morning of September 1st, 1939, echoes of shooting in town and sounds of artillery were heard, followed by dead silence.
The Germans started to bomb the war star, and everything went. Our house, our street was the first burned out at all.
At 12 o'clock, I saw the first German coming into the city. And then came tanks, soldiers came in. And looking at them, I didn't like it. You saw it's a different nationality altogether. It's a different breed of people. I never saw Germans before.
A column of tanks appeared in the center of town with officers of the German army. The Nazi troops distributed candy and sweets to the children.
They stayed 3 days. They didn't do nothing. And then, on the third day, they came an airplane and threw down papers in Russian and Polish and Jewish. Don't worry, citizens, the Germans are not staying here. The Russians are coming here. At that time, everybody was relieved at the Germans are not staying here, the Russians are coming.
One morning we get up and we see on the streets, on the mud, in the center, all the Russian army.
The Soviets held power in LUBOML for nearly 2 years, until the end of June 1941, when war broke out between the Russians and the Germans. The beginning of the destruction of LUBOML dates to June 22, 1941. On that day, the Germans opened up with artillery fire. It was also the day the first Jewish victims fell. The Germans entered the shtetl on June 25th.
I remember I was standing in the window and I was crying. I said, our life is finished, finished.
On December 6th, 1941, the Nazis organized a ghetto. Anyone caught trying to leave the ghetto could be shot on sight.
You see, our people were never sent to concentration camps. Okay, right away there was a ghetto, you know. It was so overcrowded. It was very, very bad. You never raised your eyes to look at the German even, my God, never, never. When they walked on the sidewalk, Jews were permitted to walk on and only in the middle of the street, you know, not on the sidewalk. Nobody raised their eyes even to look at the German. We were afraid to look at them.
After the occupation, the truck arrived in the corner of my house. They took out my father. I went over to my father, see what's doing. My father said to me, go away, we'll take you to. He had a feeling there's something wrong. So I went into the house and they took away my father. I never saw him again.
They were grabbing people from homes to send to work, and they never came back. Then later they found out they were all killed.
The end came the next year, in October 1942, when the final executions began. The several thousand remaining Jews who had survived the sufferings of the LUBOML ghetto were brought for slaughter to a place about 2 miles from the town.
They marched from LUBOML
to
someplace here.
Yeah, this is the road we're walking right now.
4 huge pits had already been prepared, each 165 feet long, 20 feet wide, and 16 feet deep.
Then first they took 20 at a time.
Yeah, they stopped them.
Had their clothes removed and asked them to go down into the ditch where they dug months before under the guise that it's going.
I used to dig there too. They took me out to work. And then here they stopped.
Then they took big groups down and had them remove their clothes and just machine gun them.
And that the blood come over from the grave so much for weeks. There was seeing the blood like a little lake around and all over this.
You know, it wasn't enough to take their lives, but they had to take their clothes also. I mean, what kind of brutality. What kind of people were they?
It's not about it. This took away the dignity. Even there were poor people, righteous people and everything, you know? You can imagine the terror, the mind, but it went through last minute carrying a child and everything. You knew this is the last destination.
Such hate is just beyond imagination.
There were such good people in town. Let them rest in peace, and their memory should live forever.
Amen.
You couldn't explain, nobody could explain what's happening. Everybody was questioning, where is God? Where is God? Why did he permit to do it? Everybody had that question, but there was no answer.
Wish we can go back all those years before, and I could remember all those things to tell you the good times I had in Lebanon, the wonderful times I had in Lebanon. Such a happy, the people, such a nice people. Where are those days?
Sometimes I close my eyes, I see before my eyes Friday night, that it warmed, you know, my father, the little vine. Sometimes I see that. Sometimes I see my mother's tears when I left. Sometimes I close my eyes and I see her tears.
I remember my grandmother a lot. I loved her very much. I felt a very deep sense of loss that I didn't have her anymore and that I couldn't see her anymore.
I wouldn't exchange this life for that. But these were the roots. That's where a fruit, a tree, grows from the roots up. We lost the whole culture, we lost the tradition, we lost the way of life, the creativity. They were not fancy people, but they were decent human beings. They vanished.
I can't forget the people, what they were living in Lebanon. This is not just saying. I have it quite often. It is the people. Those people, they never go away from my eyes, never.
Yisgadal v'yiskadash shmei Ravo, ve'oma divrei chutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayet l'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala b'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yesh lama rabba mishamayim, v'chayim aleinu v'al Yisrael v'imru, amen. Aseh shalom b'moimov, u'yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al Yisrael v'imru, amen.